Welcome to Warblog. Today I'm going to play the Battle of Quifangondo, Angola. I didn't really plan to do this right now, but I've got a few minutes to spend, and it's actually just coming up to New Year's Eve, and there's a lot of noise outside and fireworks, and this happened on, it didn't happen on New Year's Eve actually, but it happened on the eve of the Angolan independence, and down here we've got the road to Luanda, and on the night of independence they had a fireworks display, and the fireworks display caused quite a lot of panic in the FNLA ranks, because they thought there were more rockets. They've got rockets, you see. So basically, this is just prior to the Luanda, the Angolan independence. The FNLA are trying to sort of gear up as much land as they can before independence, and they try, against advice, to push on towards Luanda. The interesting thing here is they're coming from the north, where if you look at the map of Angola, you know, I mean, especially these sort of South African troops, I mean, not saying they should have been coming from the south like here, but obviously you don't really expect them to be coming south. But anyway, they sort of push through this town. They push through Panguila, but then they get bogged down. They try to take Quifangondo out, and they basically get beaten back. However, if you actually look at the numbers, it's a bit hard to understand why. So I've given these a bit up. These are a little upgraded. Defense on 5. These are on sort of 3s. You know, I mean that's 3 attack, 3 defense, and these are 4 attack, 5 defense, just to sort of make up for that. Because I mean, the sort of, you know, they only really had about 1 battalion there, and you know they've obviously got a lot more. And so, but number-wise, I think that they might win. It's one of these, not so much paradoxes, but it's a repeating sort of dilemma with setting these sorts of games up, where something was not what you might expect. I mean, basically they outnumbered them, but they still lost, and I think it's something to do with their sort of, I think they had prepared defences. I'm not sure exactly why. I'm not really going to go too much further into it, but one of the things that did happen against their sort of their initiative, so to speak, or whatever, the Angolans actually had a delivery of rockets, and due to problems with configuring the rockets or setting them up or something along those lines, they were late leaving Luanda, and as a result, the FNLA had no idea that there were rockets here, and they arrived right at the very end, right at the very beginning of the battle. You know, giving the FNLA no warning that there were going to be rockets prepared. I mean, the description actually sort of basically states that you know, the FNLA intelligence didn't pick up the fact that there were rockets present because they arrived at the very last minute, and so they'll come on, I think, at the beginning of turn 2 or something. So, I mean, just to sort of maybe get the drawing tool out. I'm not going to play this for actually that long, so I do sort of want to go out and look at some fireworks. But they basically come down here like this, so to speak, and this is marsh and swamp. So I'm not sure how that will play, but presumably you know, they want to sort of come down this way and then possibly, you know, maybe break through here. You know, I mean, I think after playing it the first time, the defence will become a little easier to sort of figure out, you know, how it should work. I mean, it could be that they'd be better off bringing this unit here, or when this unit routes, it comes down to here, or you know, to create that sort of solid line, because if they're not going to go through there unless they come around, you know, the options are I don't know. The options are sort of not that broad, really. I mean, even forming up along this line, I don't think crossing the river is going to be too much of a detriment, but crossing it here at this bridge might be. So we'll see how it works out, but I think in the first instance we've just got to take out this place here, which shouldn't be that difficult at all. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it in the sense of strategy-wise, but I think it's going to be generally along this sort of projection like that. So, okay. I think it's safe to move the full distance. It's one of those things where you sort of think, well, everyone really wants to pile along down the road and then split up, but I sort of prefer to play these things a little more intuitively, so to speak. So we've got some artillery here. I'll see how far I can move in one. So he's got 0.5 left, so that explains that he can move one hex at a time. I'm going to actually push these Zaire troops down here, just to see how that works. I'm going to leave these South African company with the artillery. We've got some special forces here. Okay. Well, I'm going to reload just so that I can get this stack up here. I don't think they'll be able to reach, but they might. No. Okay, well, can't do anything. They've got some artillery here. Now, the thing is, they had... It was said that their artillery had a greater range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They might be able to hit that stack. It depends on which way, which side. Oh, it's okay. Let's end that turn. No. It's interesting when the ranges actually work. So he's going to sit there and lump it. We've got this unit here. Well, I think I'm going to leave him there just to sort of try. I think actually what I'm going to do, because I want to go out, you can hear the sort of, I'm guessing that you might be able to hear some fireworks in the background. It's sort of that time of year, but I'm going to go out, and I was trying to rush it, but I figured, hang on, I can just pause it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to pause this now, because I've got to put my shoes and things on. I'll rejoin you in 2018. How about that? I thought I've got one sock on. It's getting pretty hectic, and I thought I'd catch some of these fireworks here. I'm going to put my socks on. 1 minute. Okay, well I'm back. That was only half an hour, and I went down to the city square, saw the fireworks. It's 1:15 now, and they're still going. They go on forever. Oh god. The crazy thing is, I'm on Dutch time, but my UK time is about to come through, and I also have a claim to Florida time, so I get 3 New Years. I don't know what to do with myself. Let me finish the rest of this because it's really exciting. I don't know whose turn it is even. Right, so they've done their turn. There's not much more that they can do. They can't get their artillery in. Rockets. New Year's Eve rockets. Here they come. Oh god. I don't even know who I'm playing. Okay, so we're going to attack this place here. I mean, that's the thing, you see. If you try to play it properly, you know, as you think it should be played, and I'm a big proponent of that, pushing a line across forward like that, it just goes really slow. Whereas if you just sort of slap everything along the road, you know, I'm not sure how I want to play this, because I don't want to be jumping into an attack on this, you know, as readily. See that they're in a town, which I think gives them a 1.5 or 2 times bonus, and they're dug in, which is going to be another times 2, so they're going to be worth like about 20. And even with all that, there's only 12 there. We really need to wait until we can get. But what we can do, and this is what I am going to do, is I'm going to prepare with some attrition. No more movement. See, I sort of, well, maybe I should have pushed them through the swamp. I sort of want to push someone through the swamp. You know, in the sense of playing it properly. Okay, and I'm going to do an attrition on here. And this is just a build-up. Let's do let's just fire this artillery in there. No effect. Oh, that was rubbish. Two. Well, that was more than could be hoped for. Possibly because we had this special force unit against this much weaker unit, although maybe not, I don't know. But that was perfect. Now, from the sort of perspective I like to tell these things, that they should be considering retreating now. And you've got to sort of say, well, what is the decision for that? I mean, it's pretty clear that if they don't move, they're going to get an even bigger attack. I think that's everything moved. Okay, so we've got rockets. How much movement they've got left from there? 4.15. I only want to move them into there. So they can all move into there. They're going to this artillery there, but they can now fire, presumably, on this stack here. Okay, well, that's how the firefight works. The rockets only have a range of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they might be able to hit this slot here. And the rockets really scared them. And these are pretty hefty rockets. Four, 3. Okay, and now decisions. Do I pull these units back? And I think what I want to do is, in the light of the sort of common sense gaming that I try to sort of propose, or propone, or recommend, or suggest, I don't know, is that you sort of say, well, this is now indefensible, and as such, move it out of the way. Now, I'm not sure how this would happen in other games, but from a personal perspective, it's sort of like I just want to sit there until I get forced out. But you know, they've already had quite a hammering, and that's probably only going to get worse. And so I think we're going to go for a organised retreat to fall back against these lines. And I'm quite happy with that as a role play. I mean, we could have sat in there for another turn, just seen how it would go, but I think that, and what we would have done there is just delay them. So whether or not moving out of there was a good move or not, you know, I mean, one of the things that they could have done quite easily, or maybe not perfectly, they could have possibly, and they couldn't have actually done it, I could have always removed there. And they would not have got, I wish I could do that again actually, because I think that actually leaving them in there was the thing that I should have done, and I'll explain why. I just sort of forced myself to do something that I didn't really, was, you know, intuitively I would have just kept them in there, but these units could have got there, and these units could have got there, but no one could have got in there. That would not have been the zone of control. So if he'd got a DR, I would have always been able to get away. Because of the numbers, it's probably quite unlikely to have got the sort of 7-to-1 that would have been a DE. So what would have probably happened is I would have got a DR, Defender Retreats. I would have been forced out of there. I moved them out of there because I just didn't want to have that situation where I got the DE. But the thing is, I don't think that's going to happen in this situation because I was worth 20. You know, the only thing that would have happened is they would have got a lot of artillery coming down on me. And, well, I've done it now, so... But that's one of the reasons for doing these games and not having the ability to play them again. It wouldn't take me that long to play through to this point again and to leave them in there. And you can do that. And that's, although it's not a particularly amazing decision, it's sort of one of those decisions that I think is sort of it's fundamental, really, to sort of understanding how it all works. You know, it's sort of fundamental to sort of the questioning that a game like this should be bringing about. You know, should be questioning whether or not you want to move these units out or not. Whether it's a good move, you know, and then it could be the great debate, that Panuga defence debate, you know, sort of say, well, you should always leave them in there, and, oh no, you should just, and then the sort of like the forward thinkers that move them out on turn 1, you know, the retro thinkers that sort of like move all their troops forward to, you know, to defend it. You know, you could play it so many different ways, although in a game like this, it's quite limited. But, you know, when you look at the scope of the games and the breadth of the games and the similar decisions, they all add up to be quite a rich, sort of diverse source of interesting situations that you can puzzle over. That aren't none of them in their own right too complex, but even if you just look at Waterloo, you sort of think, well, all you know, all Napoleon had to do was beat the Prussians a day earlier, you know, or if he'd done this, or... etc., etc. You know, the decisions, the ifs and the what ifs of any battle are exactly the same as here, just because it's a lot smaller. And it might be less interesting, But anyway, I don't want to dwell too much on that. I've moved them out there, and that's that. So we'll end the turn. So we're still trying to sort of flank down here, deliberately. I want to move into here, so... Yep, 3 movement points to move into a swamp. And I'm going to commit everything going through the swamp just for the hell of it. Now the problem that they had was they were outmatched with their artillery. So they had this artillery and they had all these rockets coming down on them, and so we can definitely take that town, which gives us the defence, quite a lot of defence. Really not sure how I want to play this. Okay, we should be able to bring some artillery down on here. No. They've got 3 range. 1, 2, 3, so they can't do anything. So that's that. So, well, they're going to put their rockets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down onto here. Three 3.3, 5.2, 2.9, 1, 0.2, 0.2. Well, that's sort of what it says in the history books, so we're not too far off. Everyone's going to stay where they are, but this unit really wants to sort of either come down this way, either bring him across the river, or this is a sort of spare unit. I want to bring him down here to there. Okay. I think that's my defensive line set up. I mean, the thing about coming through this swamp that I quite like is that it's not the sort of normal thing that I'll do. It's more of a sort of, you know, I'm trying to play. I try to play quite a lot with lines of force. You know, my line of force is advancing like that. I mean, there's only this little gap that isn't accounted for. You know, but as opposed to just everything coming down this one road, which is sort of like a gamey thing to do, I think. You know, but then I don't know what they do. I mean, they do actually use roads for blitzkrieging through, but it would have been just been this sort of massive central punch against here, and it just seemed that they didn't involve any thinking, so I'm trying to do it like this. Do any of these artillery units have the range? No. Still no. Now I'm going to leave them there because they're on the road, so they can get down there a lot quicker. But I'm wondering what sort of state they're going to be in by the time we get there. I think I thought that we had a lot more strength in these units, but now I'm beginning to think that we don't. Let's just see what one more turn does. Well, we're going to have the rockets down on this again. Routed. Routed. Well, that is just quite surreal. I think what I'm going to do now, in continuation of my my desire to play slightly historically, I am going to now withdraw. On this side we're going to move them across there, so we've got our defensive line set up. I just feel like this is Pickett's charge. We're not going to get there with anything that's still alive. You know. And here's our advance here, and that's pretty much sort of what happened. I'm not sure whether they engaged around the town, because I don't think they actually got that far. And I could, if I'd known that it was going to go like that, and on retrospect, I think I would have played a lot more aggressively along this road and just done it, instead of trying to slow myself down with these units going through the swamp, and these units coming around here, because I maybe felt it was maybe a more realistic way of doing things. We just don't have time to be getting hit by those rockets, but it was pretty much those rockets that were key in you know, swaying the balance of how things happened. Plus, it was clear that the MPLA, one of their main sort of advantages was their range in artillery and their rockets, and that's actually reflected in, you know, in this artillery unit only has 3. The one under there only has a 3 range, but this has a 7 range, and that's one of the reasons it's set back a bit further. But these rockets actually have 5 range themselves, which is quite a lot for rockets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, you know, it was designed so that that advantage, historical advantage, was reflected in the game. But I'm going to leave it at that. I mean, I'm not even going to sort of do the advance, but we're going to retreat back to Moro de Carl. Well, I don't think they're going to hold there under this rockets. And as I said, when the fireworks went off at midnight in Luanda, they all ran. Well, a lot of them ran away because they thought it was more rockets. It noted in the book, or the wiki page, I don't know where it came from, but it noted that a lot of these people had never seen fireworks before, and so that, you know, it's quite interesting. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it at that, and I didn't mean to do this video, but it's all fell together like this, and I'm quite happy, really, that I've done it like that. But I'm obviously going to take the time to wish all my viewers, subscribers, players a happy new year and a fantastic 2018. Speak to you later.